saw the passing out parade at Puckapunyo. It was a long march for cadets. The 6th Battalion was an extra tour, and it was me who drew the cards. We did Ganungra, Shoalwater before we left, and Townsville lined the footpaths as we marched down to the quay. This clipping from the paper showed us young and strong and clean, and there's me in my slouch hat with me SLR and greens. God help me, I was only 19. From Futau riding Chinooks to the dusted Nui Dat, I'd been in and out of choppers now for months. We made our tents our home VB and pin-ups on the lockers, and an Asian orange sunset through the scrub. And can you tell me, doctor, why I still can't get to sleep? At night time's just a jungle dark in a barking M16. And what's this rash that comes and goes? Can you tell me what it means? God help me, I was only 19. A 4-week operation when each step can mean your last one on 2 legs. It was a war within yourself. But you wouldn't let your mates down till they had you dusted off, so you closed your eyes and thought about something else. And someone yelled out contact, and the bloke behind me swore. We hooked in there for hours, and then a God Almighty roar. Well, Frankie kicked a man the day that mankind kicked the moon. God help me, he was going home in June. And I can still see Frankie drinking tinnies in the Grand Hotel on a 36-hour rec leave in Vung Tau. And I can still hear Frankie lying screaming in the jungle till the morphine came and killed the bloody row. The ANZAC legends didn't mention mud and blood and tears, and the stories that my father told me never seemed quite real. I caught some pieces in my back that I didn't even feel. God help me, I was only 9. Can you tell me, doctor, why I still can't get to sleep, and why the Channel 7 chopper still chills me to my feet? And what's this rash that comes and goes? Can you tell me what it means? God help me, I was only 19. God help me, I was only 19. Hey, how you doing? Justin here. Today we are checking out I Was Only 19, A Walk in the Green Light by Redgum. Incredibly powerful song about the Vietnam War. Very well known back home in Australia. I'm not sure whether it's that well known in the rest of the world. This is my little tribute to everyone who is serving or has served in the armed forces. Incredibly tough gig, and massive respect to everyone who's done that. I'm going to take you through kind of the simple chords first of all, then we'll talk a little bit about the finger picking options. You don't have to play it with the finger picking. I've done a kind of a version slightly similar to the original version, but it's not exactly the same finger picking pattern. You would be able to, of course, change it up and do any sort of finger picking pattern really, but you could also strum it as well. So let's go through and check out the chords first of all. So let's just go through the chord progressions with one strum per bar to start off with. The intro is going A minor to C, to G, to D, to A minor, to G, and back to A minor for 2 bars. So I'm feeling it like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4. So So that's the little intro part. We will go through a little bit more detail of doing the finger picking and picking out a little bit of the melody thing as well. But first of all, let's finish going through the chords. Now, in the verses, in a real folk tradition here, sometimes you stay on chords a little bit longer than other parts of the song. So you can kind of do it where you need a breather lyrically. If you're performing the song yourself and you forget a bit of the lyrics, or you need to slow down, take a breath, just stay on the chord for an extra bar. You don't want to go out of time. You don't want to stop, but you can stay on one chord for a little bit longer if you need a bit of time to catch up. It's a real folky thing. Started off with the blues. A lot of the 12-bar blues were never really 12 bars long, and that continued into the folk tradition where the story that you're telling is actually more important than adhering to a very strict chord progression. Okay, so be aware of that, particularly in that first verse. There's a little break after the Puckapunyal word where he just stays on that chord a little bit longer. A minor, dad, and C chord, saw the G out to D at Parker, A minor, and the extra bar of A minor, it was a G chord from the A minor for 2 bars. Then the 6th battalion was the C to tour, and it was G who drew the D. We did A minor, and then G chord before we A minored for 2 bars. The next section we go to E. E chord lined the E chord as we D down to the A. The E chord from the E chord showed us D and strong and A. And F sharp minor to E. I'm going to come back to that bit in a second. Then D and going to A to E minor. Stays there for a bit. I was only 19 to D. 4 bars there as well. Now, there's an F sharp minor there. All of the rest of the chords are relatively easy, but just for that one little bit of the chorus, you do need an F sharp minor bar chord. So it's possible to play it as a big bar chord. That would be the most common way of playing an F sharp minor. So first finger is bar in the 2nd fret, 3rd and 4th fingers in the 4th fret on strings 4 and 3. Now, when I play it, I cheat a little bit and I just do this. Now, I've gone from the A, so I'm literally, my thumb is grabbing the F sharp here, and my 3rd finger is playing that F sharp. And I'm just playing really these, the 2nd, 3rd and 4th strings and the thumb. So it's kind of a cheaty version of the F sharp minor if you can get the thumb around to play the bass note. Okay, for most beginnery kind of level guitar players, it's going to be really difficult. So you're definitely going to want to play regular big F sharp minor bar chord. That's a lot easier than doing the one with the thumb over, although the thumb over technique for the F sharp minor is kind of useful. Okay, let's go through that little chorusy sequence one more time. So let's go from the E. An E chord lined the footpaths as we D down to the A. Now here again, A, you could play it like regular A chord there. I'm using a mini bar, but mainly because I want it there set up for the F sharp minor. But if you want to play A chord like that, that works as well. So again, as E chord lined the footpaths as we D down to the A. This E chord from the paper showed us D and strong and A. An F sharp minor to E chord with a D that's going to A. Got E chord. I was only 9D. There's a little bit there. But you might want to do some little twiddles. But that's the basic chord progression. Now, if you're going to strum it, which is totally legit, you don't have to do it fingerstyle. If you want to just strum the song, that will work as well. Lots of different patterns that will work. You might want to do some embellishments. If you're familiar with your suspended chords, you might want to use your suspended chords on the, particularly on the A minor and on the D. Works really, really well. And so you could, yeah, literally if you're doing Mum and Dad and Denny saw the passing out parade at Puckapunyal. It was a long march for cadets. Very, very common little kind of chord progression there where we play the bass note and then a strum. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Also works with the pick. I'm doing it with just then with my finger, but and Denny saw the passing out parade at Puckapunyal. I should point out here with a D, very often I'm playing D with an F sharp bass. Particularly with the fingerstyle, I feel like it gives me a little bit more depth, a little bit more body. I never like a D chord when I'm doing fingerstyle because the highest note being right up there seems like it doesn't have enough weight. So I'll end up putting the F sharp on the bottom. But if you wanted to do it with a strumming like that, so Mum and Dad and Denny saw the passing out parade at Puckapunyo. Just playing the bass note from each chord, followed by a strum. So for the A minor, it's 5th string, 5th string again for the C, G moves to the thicker string, to the D. It's either the 4th string or the F sharp on the thickest, depending on which you were doing. A minor, the long march from cadets. The 6th battalion was the next to tour, and it was me who drew the card. We did Canungra, show water before we left. In Elmsville, it still works for the chorus bit as day and a day. Ian marching down and young and strong and clean. An F sharp minor to E chord, and the D is going to A, got E chord. I was only 19. I like a little sus there on the E. Kind of fits with the melody of the song. You don't have to do it, of course. It's an optional thing. You could, of course, adapt the song and use whatever strumming patterns you're familiar with. If you really want to play the song and you don't have that many strumming patterns, just try using a strumming pattern that you've got. But do remember, it's a fairly fast song, so you want a fairly simple strumming pattern. You don't like Old Faithful, down, down, up, up, down. Might sound a little bit frantic. It's okay, but it kind of, for me, it loses a little bit of the tune there because it's a little bit too frantic. I should point out that when I did the cover at the beginning of the video, I played it fingerstyle most of the way through, played the little instrumental section after one of the verses, and then I went into just slowing it right down for the verse. I can still see Frankie drinking tinnies in the Grand Hotel. That one's the one I chose to do it in. You could arrange it differently. But at that point, I just went into single strums to really drop it down a little bit, and then I went into strumming for the rest of the song. One of the things with these kind of tunes, if it's the same all of the way through the song, it can get a little bit repetitive for the listener. Okay, it is a storytelling song, so it's not terrible to do that. And the original version has the fingerstyle going most of the way through, but there are other instruments involved. So if you're playing it on your own, you might want to consider, even if you want to learn the fingerstyle one, thinking about doing some strumming a little bit later in the song as well, just to make it kind of build somewhere and have a kind of a sense of direction for the listener. So let's have a look at a nice finger picking pattern for this tune. One of the key things usually for this kind of style is having a thumb movement where you're playing the root note of the chord and another note, usually the next string over. So in the case of the A minor, we're going from the 5th string to the 4th string. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're starting actually on beat 1. We're going to play the bass note on the 5th string. Second finger is going to play the 2nd string. Then thumb plays the 4th string, first finger plays the 3rd string. Together, thumb, first finger. Then you've got thumb on the bass note, the A, second finger playing the 2nd string, and then the thumb again. Together, thumb 1, thumb 2, thumb. Together, thumb 1, thumb 2, thumb. 1, 2, and 3, and 4. Now, a thing with fingerstyle guitar is that you've got to learn the patterns absolutely instinctively so you don't have to think about it. A song like this, we've got loads of different chord changes going on, especially if you're singing the song as well, you can't be thinking about the fingerstyle. So what you need to do is very slow, careful practice of the pattern first of all, where you really concentrate, you make sure you get it right, and you make sure that you get it really nicely in time. Then you need loads and loads of repetition till you can play it without thinking about it at all. I wouldn't even think about starting to change chords until I was really confident with that one pattern. So literally just sitting there going over and over again until you can have a chat with your friend and you don't even have to think about the pattern. It's just going to go on its own. You need to get that level of automation. You won't straight away. That might take a few weeks if you're new to fingerstyle guitar, maybe even a few months. You just need to do it over and over again. Like I said, start by really concentrating and making sure you get it right, because if you program in the wrong thing, it's a real hard habit to break. So make sure you get it right, make sure it's in time. Then once you got it, and you're like, yeah, I can feel doom, 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 that's working nicely. Do, da, boom, ba, do, da, 2 and 3 and 4. Together, thumb 1, thumb 2, thumb. Then start trying to distract yourself a little bit. Like I'm doing here talking to you. You could be thinking about what you're having for dinner, or thinking about the lyrics, or what. It doesn't really matter what you're thinking about, as long as it's not the fingerstyle pattern. Just literally doing it over and over again. Okay, once you're hip with the pattern and you feel confident with it, then you might want to start applying it to the other chords. So the A minor, so what we've been looking at. C, exactly the same pattern, exactly the same. G, now G is the same, except now the first note, the thumb, is moving over to the thicker string. Together, thumb 1. The second note though is still on the D string, on the 4th string. So A minor, C, G, and that's another reason why I feel like doing the D with an F sharp bass is nice here. Okay, because you keep using that same pattern that you had on the G. If you move it to the D, you have to move all of the fingers down as well, so you can get the thumb moving from the 4th string to the 3rd string, and I just don't feel like it sounds as good. It sounds nicer. There, A minor to G, back to A minor. Let's go through that again. A minor, C, G, D with an F sharp bass, A minor, G, A minor. Now the chorus, we change the chords again, so some of the patterns are slightly different, but it's essentially staying on the same thing. So we go to an E chord. You tell me, doctor, why I still can't get to sleep. Now for the D here, I am moving, so all of the fingers are moving down. Second finger is playing the thinner string now, first finger is playing the second string. Okay, so E. Now for the E, I'm using the same fingerings as the G, so thumb is playing the thicker string and also the 4th string, first and second fingers are on the 2nd and 3rd strings. E, D, A. So from the D, everything is just moving down a string. E, shoulders young and strong and clean, to F sharp minor. F sharp minor is just going to have the same same as the E and the G. Into the E chord, with the D chord going to A, to E chord. I was only 19. Feel free to now. There are tons of different embellishments that you can try out with this tune. One thing that I like doing, I've been playing this song for a long time, I like trying to pick out that bit of melody. I don't remember it being on the original recording though. Okay, so I'm doing a few little fancy things there. So instead of starting with the second finger, I'm starting with the first finger. And then I'm lifting off my first finger of the A minor. And then putting it back down for the C. So you get da, 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 da. Now note here with the G, my little finger is actually on the 2nd string, not on the thinner string. This is the hardest part. So it's the D, Just do it after 3, 1, open 1. Together, this is first and second fingers together. Thumb jumps over. Then we've got a little hammer on with the first finger. Just doing a little hammer on there. That's a funny one to think of. Because the hammer-on's coming after. I'm not picking it. But again, this is just something this is like a little variation that I have made up. You don't feel like you have to do that. When I'm playing it for real, I'm doing little variations of those finger picking patterns all of the way through. It's not exactly the same, but what you want to learn is to be able to play one consistent pattern all of the way through consistently, so you don't have to think about it. What happens eventually is when you've learned loads of different patterns and your fingers are kind of aware of different patterns that it can do, I don't even have to think about it. Like there's some other part of my brain that deals with what's going on with the fingerstyle. I'm just thinking about like singing and the delivery and the arrangement. I'm not really thinking. I'm trying not to think when I perform, but inevitably there's a little bit of thought of thinking about the arrangement. And sometimes like, please don't go wrong here, or if there's one little part that I really want to focus on that I find tricky, I might zone in on there for a little bit. But generally speaking, with a fingerstyle thing like this, you need to get the fingerstyle parts absolutely automated, because when it comes time to perform the tune, you're thinking about it. There are other things going on, especially if you're performing it and there are people around and distractions. You really, really need to make sure that the finger picking parts are absolutely automated, that you know what the chords are. Then you can think of, be in that zone for delivering a musical performance. So fingerstyle wise, like I said, one pattern, learn that pattern really well. Take it through the whole chord progression, work on it till a point where you really don't have to think about it very much, and then start trying to sing over it if you want to. For a lot of people, fingerstyle guitar and singing at the same time is difficult. I'm okay with it, but I've been doing it for a long, long time, and it wasn't easy originally. I still remember really struggling with it, and I still encounter songs where I find it really difficult. This one I find a challenging tune. I'm not exactly sure why. Maybe it's just like part of my heritage or whatever. I connect with the song deeply, so I feel like it's emotionally kind of draining. So that takes away sometimes when I'm trying to play it, that it makes it, I get too emotionally involved with the tune, and that means sometimes things go wrong with the fingers. And that's part of the deal, I guess, if you're trying to express something in music, that kind of thing might happen. Anyways, I really hope you enjoyed this tune. Plenty more Aussie songs over on the website. I do have actually an Australian songbook full of all of the Aussie classics if you want to check out some Midnight Oil and Cold Chisel and Johnny Diesel and the Injectors and all of that sort of stuff. The classic Aussie songs that I grew up with, and a bunch of them over on the website. Do go and check it out. Have yourself a fantastic day, and I'll see you for plenty more lessons very soon. You take care. Bye-bye.